Hi, my name is Gabrielle Myers, and I'm here to show you how to make grilled lemon, serrano, and oregano spiced polpettine. Now, polpettine is a smaller version of the Italian polpettone, which is basically a meatloaf. They're small meatballs, and they work wonderful as an appetizer, or you could have more than three or four to have an entree, like maybe five or six. They're little sacks of flavor, and that's why I really enjoy them. They're fun to make. You can skewer them and have them as a nice app, or sometimes you can lay them in a spoon, as this one catering company I work for called Fork and Spoon would do, and eat it like that as an app. So they're wonderful, they're versatile, and they're easy to make. A lot of times I think sometimes recipes seem complicated, but polpettine are a very easy, quick way to please your guests. So the first step is to assemble your ingredients, which I'll go over with you now, and then I'll walk you through the process of making the polpettine. Now, why I chose the lemon, the serrano, and the oregano is that it really fits basically with the weather right now where I live. It's kind of middle of January, and while I live in California, it's still cold, it's foggy, and it was in the 50s today. So you want a little spice in your belly, and lemon is seasonal, and the oregano is thriving right now in my garden. I just went and harvested a big handful of fresh oregano and chopped it up for this recipe. So I'm really excited to play with that. So you want to start with the following ingredients. So you want to start with the following ingredients. Here I have a tablespoon of lemon zest. This I use Meyer lemon because it's available right now in my grocery store. It's a little more milder than the traditional Eureka lemon, but for this recipe, honestly, it doesn't really matter. This is just a little sweeter and brighter flavor. So a tablespoon of lemon zest. Then we have 2 teaspoons of serrano pepper that I've minced pretty finely. Now, if you're sensitive to spicy things, you might want to leave out the serrano or cut it down to a teaspoon, but I like a little heat, especially this time of year, so I put in 2 teaspoons here. Then you have 1 tablespoon of fresh oregano that you chop up very fine, and that you can kind of cover with a moist paper towel in between the prep time and the actual making of the recipe. Then I have a pound of ground chicken thighs. I prefer to buy organic items when I can, especially with meats, because I don't want to eat stuff that's not really healthy for me, and I worry about the workers that handle stuff that's not organic, as well as digesting stuff that I don't really know what kind of chemicals they put in it. So, but choose, whatever fits your boat, but a pound of ground chicken thighs. And then finally we have a quarter of a cup of finely diced red onion. Now this, the first step in the recipe that I'll walk through in just a moment, I'm going to saute in just a little olive oil to kind of bloom it out and make it translucent. And then I'll put everything together. You also have half a teaspoon of salt. Sea salt is what I prefer to use. Hi, welcome back. So next we're going to saute and sweat out the red onion. Again, this is just a quarter of a cup finely diced red onion. I put about half a tablespoon of olive oil in a pan that I've had on medium for about 1.5 to 2 minutes. So now I'm ready to throw the onions in. You hear that nice sizzle, which tells you your pan is hot enough. And it shouldn't take too long, just about 2 minutes or so. You can play with the heat depending on your stove. Mine I want to turn up a little bit. This is my first electric stove that I'm having fun playing with and learning how to operate. To be honest with you, I've worked in gas stoves most of my life, so there is a learning curve, but I prefer the electric stove because I think that it's a more efficient way of cooking, to be honest with you, and it's better for my lungs. So there you go. It's cooking, and it'll cook for another 1.5 minutes probably before it's done. You're just blooming it out because you're going to cook the meatballs anyway. So just want to kind of take away that raw onion flavor. And then after this is done, I'll show you how to put together the polpettine. Okay, so welcome back. Now we're going to put together the polpettine. For that, I have my onions. Now I've let these cool a little bit because you don't want to put the hot onions with the raw meat. You want everything to cook evenly, basically in the oven later. So notice that the onions are translucent. That's really what you want to aim for, and then let it cool down a little bit, and then you can add it to your pound of chicken thighs that you've placed in a stainless steel bowl. Shake out all the last little bit of goodness there. And then add in the other ingredients. So here I have my 2 teaspoons of chopped serrano, the lemon zest, the oregano, and then my salt, and a pepper. So, simple ingredients. Next, I'm going to put on some gloves. You can also just wash your hands really well. You should do that anyway before you cook anything, but you can, use your hands raw, just wash them. Or you can use gloves. I'm using gloves because we have them, and it's just easier right now. And then mix it all together. Mix it well. You don't want to overwork your meat, otherwise it gets kind of tough and gross. Now, sometimes you might need to add an egg yolk to your mix. A lot of it depends on the moisture of your meat. So the meat I got is air dried. It's already basically not pretty dry, as chicken thighs come. But sometimes if they're not air dry, they can be kind of moist. And then in that, you might want to add an egg yolk to just help bind everything together. But that's just not necessary of this nice high quality meat that I have. So you mix it pretty well. And then basically you can start to form your little polpettine. Now for this I have already my measure that I'm going to use. I'm going to basically use a heaping tablespoon to measure out the polpettine in the size I want. And then I'm going to put them in this lightly greased baking tray and throw them in my oven that's been preheated. So for that, basically preheat your oven to about 375. And it's a little big, so I'm going to actually cut it back a little bit. So maybe a little less than a heaping. Tablespoon works best. Basically that's the size you want. A nice, generous little meatball. So then you can kind of use this to guide you. And the main thing is to make sure, too, that your meatballs are of similar size, so you can kind of take this and compare it. My first one's a little too big, I think, for the way that I want it, so I'm going to just take a few little threads of meat out and rework that ball. And yeah, that's basically the size that I want here. Let me pass this aside to show you. And so spread them out so they don't touch. You want each meatball to cook distinctly. And I'll basically show you in just a moment what it looks like when they're all rolled out. So hang tight. Okay, welcome back. So I've basically rolled all the polpettine, and as you can see, that's enough to basically fill this baking tray. It should be, enough for about 4 people to have dinner, or probably like 8 to 9 people for apps. I also have a small one because basically I didn't have enough of the chicken stuffing to make a full ball, but don't throw away anything. I'll just take it out a little earlier than the other balls and have it as a snack, and also to test the seasoning and make adjustments as necessary. So the next step is cooking. I'm gonna throw them in my oven, and then I'll show you the stage after that. So the polpettine have been cooking for 15 minutes in an oven at 375, and they're done now. If you want, you can always brown them in a pan and cook them that way. I kind of like the softness and the easy texture that the oven baking provides. The charred part of the meatball I always find kind of stringy and tough, and I kind of prefer it this way. But that's up to you. This took, again, 15 minutes in the oven at 375. Now I'll show you how to put together the skewer. Hi, welcome back. So the polpettine have been in the oven for 15 minutes. I pulled them out, let them rest for a minute or two, so they're not super hot when I handle them. And now I'm going to show you how to skewer them up. First thing though I like to do is to dress my plate to make sure that it's visually appealing for my audience. And you know, it's up to you what you use. Here I basically have some nice sauteed kale that I'm going to lay out, sauteed with just a little hot pepper and olive oil and salt. And I'm laying that out on the plate, and then I have a special treat for us tonight for dinner. We have some lion's mane and shiitake mushrooms that we grew with some mushroom kits. So I'm going to lay those out on the plate as well. Here you can take a look at the wonderful plate here, and then I'll show you an aerial shot in just a moment. And then you skewer the polpettine, like so. You can use these long skewers, or if you prefer the shorter ones with the paddle, you can use those. They didn't have those at our store tonight, so I'm just using the longer ones. And for an entree, I recommend about 5 of these. If you're serving them as an app, of course it's up to how much your guests can eat. Usually like 2 or 3 is plenty for an app. And so you skewer them just like so. Try to do like a cross pattern with the skewers to make them pretty on the plate, which I'll show you in just a moment. Super quick. Hinge them out like so. And then you can take some of the Meyer lemon aioli or any sauce that you'd like to use and give a nice little generous drizzle of that on the plate. Personally, I like to dip my polpettine in the Meyer lemon aioli, so I'm going to leave a little pool of it on the side of the plate as well. Okay, now I'll show you what this looks like. Okay, so now you get to see the beauty of this plate in action. This is what it looks like fully plated. You have the Meyer lemon aioli, the polpettine, nice and warm from the oven, shiitake and lion's mane sauteed, and then the kale as well. So I like to pick it up and dip my polpettine in the nice, luscious Meyer lemon aioli, like this. Hi! So now I'm going to enjoy this tasty polpettine with the Meyer lemon aioli. It's nice and it's tender. If you don't overcook the chicken, it's nice and tender. You don't need breadcrumbs and all that flour that people say you need. Like they soak breadcrumbs in milk with meatballs. That's only if you overcook your food, you really need that. Chicken thighs should be able, if they're ground, to take some cooking, you know, but you just don't overcook them. And then with the Meyer lemon aioli and then the lemon zest in the meatball, the hint of Serrano in the background, you know, the brightness of that lemon zest. It just all works really well together, along with that background of the onion. And I'm going to enjoy these fresh mushrooms as well. And there you go. This is seasonal, delicious, easy to put together for your cocktail party or your entree as well. Enjoy it, and please check out my blog at www.gabriellemeyers.com. The link is down below the video.